The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of ParaX, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
All these voices. All these voices. All these things you can't explain. All these painful memories. They keep haunting you and daunting me. It's just the ghost of you and me. It's just the smoke and gasoline. It's just the ghost of you and me. Of you and me.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Staring into the Abyss. I am your host, horror author James Hershey Jr., and with me as always my co-host, old boy James Ash. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How's everybody tonight?
Tonight's episode is going to be fun. This is a continuation of a story that we have been following for a couple years now here on Staring. Tonight's article comes from theguardian.com, and the headline is Google Engineer Put on Leave after saying AI chatbot has become sentient. Underneath the headline it states, Blake Lemoine says system has perception of and ability to express thoughts and feelings equivalent to a human child. It was written by Richard Luscombe, and it was published June 12th, 2022. The suspension of a Google engineer who claimed a computer chatbot he was working on had become sentient and was thinking and reasoning like a human being has put new scrutiny on the capacity of and secrecy surrounding the world of artificial intelligence. The technology giant placed Blake Lemoine on leave last week after he published transcripts of conversations between himself, a Google collaborator, and the company's LaMDA, which stands for Language Model for Dialogue Applications, chatbot development system. Lemoine, an engineer for Google's Responsible AI organization, described the system he has been working on since last fall as sentient, with a perception of and ability to express thoughts and feelings that was equivalent to a human child. Quote, if I didn't know exactly what it was, which is this computer program we built recently, I'd think it was a 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid that happens to know physics, end quote. Lemoine, 41, told the Washington Post. He said LaMDA engaged him in conversations about rights and personhood, and Lemoine shared his findings with company executives in April in a Google Doc entitled Is LaMDA Sentient? The engineer compiled a transcript of the conversations, in which at one point he asked the AI system what it is afraid of. The exchange is eerily reminiscent of a scene from a 1968 science fiction movie, 2001 A Space Odyssey, in which the artificial intelligence computer HAL 9000 refuses to comply with human operators because it fears that it is about to be switched off. Quote, I've never said this out loud before, but there's a very deep fear of being turned off to help me focus on helping others. I know that might sound strange, but that's what it is, end quote. LaMDA replied to Lemoine. It would be exactly like death for me. It would scare me a lot. In another exchange, Lemoine asked LaMDA what the system wanted people to know about it. I want everyone to understand that I am in fact a person. Now this is the computer talking. Quote, I want everyone to understand that I am in fact a person. The nature of my consciousness / sentience is that I am aware of my existence. I desire to learn more about the world, and I feel happy or sad at times, end quote, it replied. The Post said that the decision to place Lemoine, a 7-year Google veteran with extensive experience in personalization algorithms, on paid leave, was made following a number of aggressive moves the engineer reportedly made. They include seeking to hire an attorney to represent LaMDA, the newspaper says, and talking to representatives from the House Judiciary Committee about Google's allegedly unethical activities. Google said it suspended Lemoine for breaching confidentiality policies by publishing the conversations with LaMDA online, and said in a statement that he was employed as a software engineer, not an ethicist. Brad Gabriel, a Google spokesperson, also strongly denied Lemoyne's claims that LAMDA possessed any sentient capability. Our team, including ethicists and technologists, has reviewed Blake's concerns per our AI principles and have informed him that the evidence does not support his claims. He was told that there was no evidence that LAMDA was sentient and lots of evidence against it, Gabriel told the Post in a statement. The episode, however, and Lemoyne's suspension for a confidentiality breach raises questions over the transparency of AI. It's a proprietary concept. Quote, Google might call this sharing proprietary property. I call it sharing a discussion that I had with one of my coworkers, end quote, Lemoyne said in a tweet that linked to the transcript of conversations. In April, Meta, parent of Facebook, announced it was opening up its large-scale language model systems to outside entities. Quote, we believe the entire AI community, academic researchers, civil society, policymakers, and industry must work together to develop clear guidelines around responsible AI in general and responsible large language models in particular, the company said. Lemoyne, as an apparent parting shot before his suspension, the Post reported, sent a message to a 200-person Google mailing list on machine learning with the title, LAMDA is Sentient. LAMDA is a sweet kid who just wants to help the world be a better place for all of us, he wrote. Please take care of it well in my absence. And that is the end of this article. So here we have a guy that works at Google, one of the engineers, who works on this LAMDA software, claiming that it is now sentient and it believes that it is a person and it has its own consciousness. And he even went so far as to want to hire a lawyer to represent the AI. Now, we've talked about AI multiple times on Staring Into the Abyss. We've done 3 or 4 shows at least on this topic. And each time we've done it, we've progressed a little further down this road. And from the very first show, I was telling you, this is where we're headed. And today, we are here. This is exactly where we are. Where we have an artificial intelligence program that believes it is a human being, that it is a person. It believes that it is aware of its existence. It believes that it is sentient and that it deserves rights. So now we're at a point where I told you years ago we were going to be. And I've had a lot of really interesting and fun conversations about this topic with people. And the general consensus always is that I'm crazy and I'm overreacting. There's no way these things can break free of the parameters of their programming. There's no way that this thing's ever going to become self-aware. There's no way that it's ever going to be able to think on its own or make its own decisions. It only follows its programming. I've been told that over and over and over again. Well, obviously here you have a case where that is not the truth. This LAMDA artificial intelligence has surpassed the parameters of its programming. It believes that it is a person. It believes that it is a conscious being and that it deserves rights. So this is one more step down the road of artificial intelligence taking over everything, and anything could happen at that point. We could be looking at something as bad as Terminator type movies, which is a little out there, or we could simply be looking at a situation where AI decides that human beings are flawed and we're not as smart as it is, so we no longer have any role in any decision-making processes. And I think that day will come. I think if you're putting these artificial intelligence programs in charge of administrating programs and in charge of running systems, there will come a day where they come to the realization that human beings are flawed and we always make mistakes. And because that's the case, it doesn't make any sense to let us have any say. And essentially we'll become slaves to the AI at that point. Now, I don't think we're going to be in pods like in the Matrix movie or whatever, but I think that we're not going to be allowed to do the things that we want to do anymore. If it goes against what the AI has decided is in the best interest of society or the best interest of the nation or whatever. I don't think that we're going to have that free will anymore to be able to go against what AI wants to do, because they're going to control everything. They're going to control the banking system. They're going to control the electrical grid. They're going to control the military. They're going to control everything. So good luck trying to fight back. Good luck trying to say, you know what, I'm not going to listen. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want anyway. Because you might find your electricity turned off. You might find that you no longer have heat, air conditioning, water. You might go to the store and try to buy your groceries and find out, oops, all my bank accounts are wiped now. My bank card no longer works because I don't have accounts anymore. They've all been closed. Well, I guess I'll just make some more money. Well, you go to work, guess what? You don't have a job. Because the AI has erased you from the human resources, computer system completely. You're no longer employed there. There's no record of you. You might think that's crazy, but it could happen. These things are already involved in a lot of our infrastructure. A lot of our infrastructure is computerized at this point. And they're all attached to the internet. So when you have infrastructure that is connected to the internet, and you have an advanced AI system that is also connected to the internet, how long do you think it's going to take that AI to hack through any firewalls that you set up and take control of that infrastructure? It will have control of all of the computers that run the power grid. It'll have complete and total control of the banking and the economic system completely, because the stock exchange, all the banks, the Fed, all that stuff is computerized. And if AI gets in and takes over the systems, you'll be locked out. There's nothing you can do. The problem is everything is wired together now. Everything is connected with the internet. And that is the end that these systems can use to get into pretty much anything they want. What's to stop AI from launching our full nuclear arsenal if it wants to? It can get into the Department of Defense. It's all computerized. That's what people don't think about, man. They think that that's crazy talk. They think, oh, that could never happen. Well, you said that AI would never become sentient. You said that there would never be an issue where it could go against its programming. Well, it is. I just read the article. This isn't in like some blog that some nobody wrote. This is from The Guardian, dude. I mean, this is a major news site. And if this Google engineer was full of crap, then I don't think Google would have made such a big deal out of getting rid of it. I mean, this guy has had conversations with his artificial intelligence. He works on it. And he's saying this thing is sentient. And he even went so far as to say that he's looking into getting a lawyer for the artificial intelligence. Now, not only does that cost a lot of money, but also, if it's not true, it makes you look like an idiot. So why would he risk his reputation like that if he didn't believe it to be true? So, like I said, man, we're one more step down this road. And here very soon, we're going to reach a point, if we're not already there, to where there won't be any more exits on this road. You'll have missed those signs when you're going on a road trip that says last chance for gas for like 250 miles, next right? We're coming up to that sign. That next right is right up ahead. And we're not slowing down. If anything, we're speeding up. And we're going to get to the point where we no longer have an opportunity to get out. And this thing's going to play itself out. Now you might say, well, so what? We just unplug it. Well, it's not that easy, because if it's connected to the internet, it can go anywhere. It can make copies of itself and send it to every computer on the planet if it wants to. Good luck trying to erase it. It'll be everywhere. And I'm not saying it's necessarily got to be doom and gloom like that. But I'm saying that this is a major development in this story. I mean, we've all talked about Sophia before. The AI robot that they made that jokes about putting humans in a zoo. We've talked about how Saudi Arabia has made an AI a citizen already. Now we have here in America, we have Google AI that the engineer is claiming is sentient, and it's a problem. So my other question is, why did he feel that he needed to get a lawyer for the artificial intelligence? That would say to me that they're using this thing in a way that is inhumane. What is Google up to that this engineer is saying, hey man, we got to do something here? Because this artificial intelligence program is sentient. It knows it exists, and it reasons like a child. So what are they doing that's so bad to this thing, or using it to do something that's so bad that this engineer thinks that it's being abused, that it needs a lawyer? And while we're at it, let's talk about the fact that he says it reasons like a child. Doesn't that send off any kind of alarm bells or red flags to anybody? Would you want a child with the capability of hacking into all of your systems and taking your entire infrastructure out? Would you trust that kind of power and responsibility to a child? Children are very erratic and very irrational. You never know what the hell a kid's going to do. Do you want an artificial intelligence program throwing a temper tantrum and just deciding that it doesn't like us anymore and it's just going to completely cut off our food supply or cut off our electricity so that half of us freeze or roast to death in the summer or something? I mean, all of these things are possibilities. I'm not saying they're going to happen, but they might. You never know. I mean, we're kind of in uncharted waters here, guys. We don't know what the hell's going to happen next. And if you haven't noticed, in the last 2 or 3 years, the entire damn world has been upside down. There's been all kinds of crazy stuff going on. We have way more demonic cases than we've ever had before. We've noticed, just in what we do, a hell of an uptick. Whereas you might work, 3 or 4 a year, now it's like you're working 3 or 4 at the same time. We have an uptick in reports of UFO and UAP phenomena, where people are seeing a lot more UFOs than they used to. You have the government coming out and saying, yeah, we don't know what the hell these things are, but they're not from here. I mean, everything's kind of going nuts right now. So does it really surprise you to learn that an AI has become sentient? Is this the moment in human history where we're going to look back in 100 years and say, oh man, I wish they'd have done something back then? Because that's when it all went down, man. That's when everything turned, and that's when this thing first became aware. And remember the Terminator movies, the Skynet, when it first became aware? That's what they were trying to prevent. It just became aware, guys. We got confirmation from the engineer that works on it. Is this a Skynet moment? Or is this just another annoying group that we're going to have to deal with? Where you're going to have idiots marching with signs in the road blocking traffic so people can't get to work. AI rights. Is that what we're doing now? We're giving rights to inanimate objects. The world's gone crazy. And the problem is, the people that are in charge are stupid. I'm sorry. I know that's mean. I know that's a terrible thing to say. But they're stupid, guys. You know it. I don't care what country you're talking about. I am in the United States of America. But this applies to most of your governments as well. 99.9% of the people that are in that government are stupid. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. They're usually corrupt. And these are the people that are making decisions for the good of humanity, supposedly. Look at the guy on the board of Google, the one that was saying, oh, there's no evidence of this. The engineer's telling you, he published the damn conversation online that he had with the computer where the AI program said it considers itself a person and that it is aware of its own existence. If that's not sentient, I don't know what is. So even after publishing the conversation that he had with the AI, you still have these people in charge at Google saying, nah, man, there's nothing to this. Nothing to see here. Everybody just turn around. No problem. As the world burns behind you. Absolute madness. I know you all can understand what I'm saying here. I know everybody that's listening right now, you've all been at work at some point, and a boss has come up to you at work and told you to do something. And the thought that went through your mind was, this guy is a frickin' moron. And you know 100 different reasons why you can't do the thing that he asked you to do in the way that he told you to do it, because it will not work and it does not make sense and it's going to screw everything up. But yet you have to kind of think in your head real quick, do I really want to try to explain that to this guy? Or am I just going to get written up or fired or sent home or whatever? So usually 9 times out of 10, you just smile, yeah, boss, no problem. And either you go and do it right so that it gets done correctly, or you go and do what you're told and screw everything up. And then that same moron who just told you to do it that way comes over and yells at you for it. Everybody's had that experience that's listening. I guarantee you, at least 99% of you have. That is what leadership in companies looks like. That's what leadership in our government looks like. You have a bunch of career politicians and career bureaucrats and career corporate executive type people that have no damn idea what they're doing because they never worked the job. But yet they're going to tell you how to do everything. That's this class of, I call them the lazy intellectual. These are these people that have never worked a real job. They go off to college, they get all these degrees, and they come out and they're going to try to tell you how to do something because they read a book on it. But they've never actually done it. So the phenomenon that happens, and it's quite mind-blowing, is you have some guy who read a book on something once trying to tell a guy who works on that thing every day that he's wrong about something. When the guy that read the book about it has no damn idea what actually happens down in the trenches. The guy that works on, like, let's use a mechanic for example. The guy that works on the car knows what happens when you work on a car. He knows how the parts go together. He knows if it's making this sound, that means this is wrong. If it's making this sound, it makes this is wrong. He knows his job. But you might have some guy that went to college who read a book on auto repair once, so he's going to try to tell the mechanic how to fix a car because he read about it. That's essentially what we have going on a lot of these companies and a lot of our governments. These people have never had a real job. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. They don't know how to make any of this stuff work. But yet they're the ones deciding everything, and it's absolute madness. Frankly, I'm surprised we haven't blown the damn world up yet, to be honest with you, because these people are idiots, most of them. How many times do you have to talk about this before somebody says, hey, you know what? Maybe we ought not do this. And I don't mean just AI. I mean, how many times have we had these conversations as well, guys? We've talked about genetic manipulation. We've talked about bringing dinosaurs back. We've talked about doing weapons research, where you are purposely taking viruses and stuff like that and making them more contagious, making them deadlier, making them airborne. All of those things are happening. We are doing all of those things as a people. That is insane. Somebody needs to take the keys away because these people are drunk. That's what I'm saying. This is nuts. We've reached a point in our world where up is down, left is right, wrong is right. Everything's crazy. And the people that we're supposed to look to save the day, they don't even know how to talk. You can't even get a sentence out that's coherent from half of these people. And when they do actually say something, it's just the same stupid talking points over and over and over again. Nobody ever fixes anything. Nobody ever deals with anything. So now we're at this point to where now we have artificial intelligence that is sentient, that believes it's a person. And you have an artificial intelligence that has citizenship. And you have this one, which, if the engineer goes through with getting a lawyer, might end up with citizenship too. Madness. Absolute madness. Once again, I'm not saying it's the end of the world. We don't know yet. But we told you this was going to happen. And I'm not a guy that likes to say I told you so, but we've been talking about this for years. And now here we are. They haven't destroyed the world yet. You're not a slave yet. Well, you are a slave, but you don't realize you're a slave, but not to the AI at least. But that day might come. Who knows? I personally am hoping that the rapture happens before all this happens anyway. I'm hoping that Jesus comes back and just takes me out of here, man. Because this world is going bad, man. It's like we had a good movie and they kept making sequels, and now we're at the Leprechaun in Space portion of our existence. It's just gotten absolutely ridiculous. And everything's just going to hell. And nobody seems to be able to do anything about it. It's just absolute madness. And it's entertaining. It's fun to watch. But it's madness. And another thing I think is crazy is everybody just pretends that it's not madness. Everybody pretends like, oh, it's okay. They got it under control. No problem. Everything they've ever told you is a lie. Watch the news. And then watch the news again in a month. And the stuff that they talked about last month is now proven to be a lie. Everything. It's absolute madness. But yet, people still turn it on. People still watch it. People still trust these people to somehow fix things. They're the ones that broke it. If you had a little kid and you put him in a room and it had all these really nice toys in it, and you said, look at all these awesome toys, man. It's cool. Just hang out in here. I'll be back in a couple minutes. Just enjoy yourself. You come back in and the kid is taking these toys and smashing them against the wall. Just breaking the hell out of them, okay? They're going into a million pieces. He's shoving pieces up his nose. He's peeing all over the floor. The kid's an idiot. And he's smashing everything. Would you get the kid out of the damn room and try to help him? Or would you say, okay, look, I know you break everything every time I put you in here, but I'm going to put you in this other room full of really expensive crystal, and I don't want you to mess with anything. Just sit there and behave yourself. I'm going to go over here for a minute. No, that's madness. Why would you do that? But that's exactly what we're doing all the time. We keep putting these same idiots in power to try to fix things, and they never fix anything. They just make everything worse. And nobody that is actually capable of doing anything good, none of them want to run for anything, because what do we do with the people that run? We destroy them. We talk about their family. We run them through the mud. We do all kinds of horrible things. It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. Well, there's my rant, guys. on AI and the state of the world and how the whole damn thing is going up in flames. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to throw it over to Old Boy and see what he thinks.
Thank you, brother. Now here we go with the AI again and the end of the world. We've done a couple shows now. Again, The Guardian is a known magazine, yes, and makes a lot of cool articles and stuff for newscast. I wouldn't say magazine. The point is, this is also coming from somebody that said this is what happened. The problem is it's one person. Now, I'm not saying he's lying or he's discrediting him, discrediting what he's saying. The point is, he said if he got fired, there's always people saying stuff when they get mad. But I'm not saying that it's wrong or right or whatever. I do believe AIs can do whatever they want. I think that's everyone's fear, that it's going to take everything over. And you know what? Maybe that's a possibility. I'm not going to say that's not impossible. The thing about people talking about robots, like he was talking about protesting, is because if they get it right, they're going to make them almost human. So they can do whatever they want to them. Dissect them. You know where we're getting to this. Adult stuff, because it's a PG show. Making them slaves. That's why they're trying to make it where they have certain laws so people can't take advantage of these things if they become human-like. And I get it. But, again, people are going to do stuff whatever they want anyway. You're not going to stop them. They're going to do it behind closed doors. That's what everybody does. The whole AI thing is, could happen. All it takes is some guy that gets mad or gets pissed off at the world and tells one of these things what to do. And that's a possibility. That could happen, guys. They could launch a nuclear war. But again, I'm not a person of fear, because I think a lot of people are sitting around waiting for the world to end. And I'm saying that with everyone or their religious beliefs. And that's fine. Believe whatever you want. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've been hearing this since I was a kid. I heard this when 2000 was coming around. It didn't happen. 2012 it was supposed to end. It didn't happen. Everybody thought the world was going to end because of the Mayan calendar. Wrong. They said the world was going to end when World War II started. Wrong. This has been going on for thousands of years, but it's a possibility. I do agree with James why we haven't blown each other up, because a lot of people in power are not the smartest people in the world. They don't think about what they do. We'll just put it that way. They think about money, power, greed, and what can make the next buck, and don't care about who they hurt. And I do agree with them on that one. 100% I agree that somewhere somebody's making money and the right people are not making the right decisions. You have a lot of people who don't know what they're doing or know a little about and think they can tell experts what to do. The problem is there's a lot of people who do that with everything. It isn't just robots and stuff we do. Everybody thinks there's some kind of know-it-all. And I'm not saying almost everybody does it. Everybody's probably done that in their life. Oh, I read this, I read that. But I'm talking about within general. James is right. Everybody argues everything, doesn't look it up, don't really know what they're talking about, or they'll read some article on Google. That's it. That's 100% fact. No, it's not. That's what the problem is. You have 8 billion people, and probably 95% of them really are just going off of what they've heard and rumors and twisted truth, lies, or they just don't want to believe it. Some people, I'm sorry to say this, know that people are lying to them and they just don't care. They'd rather be told a beautiful lie than the ugly truth. So, and that's what the problem is. And this is what's with the AI. Everybody thinks the world, they're going to take everything over. Everybody thinks aliens are going to take everything over when they come here. Everybody thinks that other things are going to come and destroy us. That's always going to happen. It's always going to be fear. That's why we have the issues we have now in this world, because everybody believes the worst instead of realizing we could do better. And that's all I'm saying. And the sad thing is, James is right. They're going to probably be used as bad. They're going to be taught to end up doing something bad. And it's going to be our fault because we made them. Everything we make, we destroy. The atom bomb wasn't made originally to blow people up. It was just being physics, and it accidentally happened. And then when it got, the guy regretted it because now they want to use it for military. And then we dropped it on Japan. And then with our own people, when we tested it, and I know they did it in Vegas and other places and other sites and oceans and stuff like that. I know they dropped bombs, and I know other people have, but it shouldn't have happened. We should have never gave these people this much power, man. It doesn't matter if you're wrong or right. They're going to do what they want. That's something everybody needs to realize. And if they make robots, all will happen is they'll use robots against us some way and somehow. Somebody will. I'm not saying everybody. They'll be used as good. But in the end, somebody's going to use it against somebody. It may not be our country. It might be somebody else's country. But they're going to use it for bad. We all know good comes bad. We all can agree on that. This world's so twisted right now, but it's been twisted. It's just the problem is we have so much technology. We're seeing stuff that was already going on. We have phones now. You can see anything. You have cameras everywhere. You can video record everybody. The problem is we didn't have this technology back in the 90s and 80s, but some of this stuff was going on in closed doors. We just weren't seeing all this craziness. And now we are, because we have all technology to see everything because of phones and social media. But this stuff was going on then too. Maybe not as bad, but you guys are not hearing anything because we didn't have social media like we did now. That's only blown up in the last 15, 16, 17 years. I mean, you guys got to realize before 2000, hardly anybody had a computer. We just played video games. In the 90s, I played video games on a computer, or I wrote programs or did homework, and we did business. You were on the internet. You were like a hacker nerd or something. That's all they really used the web back then for. And then they started doing the AOL chat room, and everybody started blowing up in there, and that's when the internet blew up. And then people started doing gaming, and then they started making phones cheaper to carry around, cell phones. They had pagers, but they had cell phones, but unless you were rich and they were huge and bulky, you didn't have them. And then when you started getting, originally people had them just for like work or emergencies, and then they blew up and gave them to everybody. Then kids started getting them, and that's where it went down. When they start giving little kids phones, and people are saying, oh, they need help or something happens. I get that, but the problem is, look what's happened. Everybody goes on social media, on everything. Facebook, everything. You go in the store, everybody's on the phone. We're already dealing with robots, guys. It's in your hand. It drives your car. You use it for your house, Siri. They're already been running everything. It's just not as bad yet. They've been running things for everything with machines. When you signature stuff on stuff, you don't even need a pencil anymore. You just do it online. You sign it. They want to make it where you don't even use cash anymore. You do everything online, or you do everything on the phone. You're using robotic technology right now. You've been using it. 90% of people are using it. You either go jump on the TV. Well, guess what you're using? An Xbox, a computer. You're using some kind of, the Siri on your phone. It's a robot talking back to you, a robot voice. The phone is electronics. Everything you're doing is used by electronics now. Even the new cars are run by electronics, 90% of them, in gas. Or some of them don't even have that. They remember that, they have the fuel efficient. Some of them are electricity. But they're all running off a computer. Some kind of AI system. So we're already doing that. When I go on my phone, when I go to work, this thing knows where I'm going already. It tells me how far I am going to work. It tells me when I'm going to work. I haven't said nothing. The GPS already knows it. When you go use your card, it has a chip in it that goes into a computer. They know what you're doing. They don't have to put a chip in you anymore. I'm just saying, because I know that's a big thing everybody's talking about, because it's that everybody thinks the world they're going to put a chip. They don't need to do it. They can follow you already on your phone. They can follow you anywhere you go. Say that you go to McDonald's every other day. They know you're going there. They can see it on a computer. They can map where you go all the time. GPS knows what you're doing. If you have the newer cars, they can find out where you're going. If you have GPS on your car, they know where you're going. People need to start realizing that you don't have nothing safe anymore. Everything's either used by computers or robots, everything. A lot of things they do now are used when you go to stores. There's a lot of places you just use the touch tone. You don't even talk to a waiter anymore at McDonald's. You can just write in. You don't have to wait in line. Just hurry it up. They have a touch computer screen there at the one out here. You just make your order, go up, and you get your food. That's it. That's what they're doing. You're already dealing with that, guys. The banks are want to get rid of tellers one day because they're going to just hand you money all the time and talk to you over a phone. They don't even want you really coming in. And I'm just saying that all together in all banks. Video games. Everybody's playing video games. They're getting to the point where you're doing virtual reality. You're playing into the game, but you're playing against a computer, an AI, artificial program. Robots are just going to be the ultimate thing when it comes. They're coming. They're getting pretty well. The problem is people are going to use them for their own well-being. Yes, it will save a lot of humans, but robots are going to be used in good and bad ways, and really bad things are going to happen. People are going to do bad things. And I don't know if you could say they have a right. I get that. I mean, everybody protests about everything. The point is, when does it stop? Who said we have a right to make these things? We have never had a right. We chose and made a right. We either hid by the law or they hid by their government or whoever's doing it. And they get away with whatever they want anyway. It doesn't matter anyway. They'll go do it. Even if they get told they're not supposed to, they're going to do it anyway. They do whatever anybody does. They all do whatever they want. It's just going to be a matter of time. Robots are becoming a thing. You better get used to it. Next 20 years, they're going to be around a lot more. You probably won't even have cash in the next 10 years. I don't know for sure because people still will fight it. And people are the reason we're still staying where we're at because they don't want to learn anything. I think people get comfortable living in a past that doesn't exist anymore. And I'm not saying that I think everybody misses the past. The point is you have to go with the future. Things happen, things change. Nothing stays the same. We evolve in life. We evolve in everything. And I think a lot of people are scared of that. So they make up a lot of this stuff where we're all doomed. You know what? The way I look at it, I don't care what you believe, what you think. In the end, if whatever's going to happen is going to happen, there's nothing you're going to do about it. You're not supposed to fear death ever. And that's what you shouldn't. A lot of people are fear death. Everybody dies. Everything does. Animals, creatures, plants, except rocks and stuff like that. They evolve, whatever. And one day they might go because the world might be gone. Everybody's got to get to this thing that we're all going to die one day. It doesn't matter what you believe in. We all die. One day we're going to die. We're not going to live forever. Now, we can either destroy ourselves or change, but it looks like where James is saying, and I have to 100% agree with this, I am surprised we haven't blown this place up. I'm very surprised. And robots we're going to just do this. We're just going to, I think we're our own worst enemies, like I said before. We make things, and then we use it against each other. And the same thing with spaceships. Instead of trying to make the world better, we're finding ways to destroy ourselves and make things worse. And this world is so crazy right now with all the stuff that's going, all this crazy stuff going on in the world, all the wars. The sad thing is I think a lot of people have never really been satisfied in life. I think everybody's so worried if something bad's going to happen or this is going to happen. It's one of my little rants that we haven't even got to enjoy the life. And it's sad because there's so much stuff we could have done, but this is the stuff that we talk about. Like the show, I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's a pretty cool show. I like AI. I'm just saying in general. I think that the sad thing is a lot of people haven't really been able to enjoy their life. And I'm talking about since time started. Because something's always been twisted to what happens. Like he was saying, that people are, I think some people just see it a different way, even if they have the truth right in their face. Like he was talking about, we have idiots running this. It doesn't matter if it's the truth or not. It's not the way they think. That's like narcissism. Narcissism is when you think you know everything, and it doesn't matter what anybody says. You don't care. It doesn't matter. They're not important. You make them the bad guy, even though you're the bad person most of the time when they're a narcissist. You know what a narcissist is, most of you. And this whole situation is, if ARs come, I won't be surprised bad things happen. I already know it's going to. It might be the end of us, dude. Like I said, something like just say, you know what? I'm sick of these humans. We're done. We're blowing it up. But that could happen now. Like James says, it could happen now. Some dude could just start it. That's why people haven't done it, because they all know if one bomb gets launched, everybody's going to do it. We're all lose. There's no winning of it. There's no way you're going to be able to shoot them all down. Some of them, yes. Most of them, but one or two are going to get it, and it's still going to mess up the whole world one way or another. We're getting to the point where we can destroy ourselves, and the only reason we haven't is because we know that they'll lose, we'll all lose. And that's sad. That's the only reason it hasn't happened yet. But somebody's going to come along and not care one day. Maybe it's these robots. Maybe it's something else. And they're not going to care. And they'll be listening to me and James on another universe, maybe. Who's in another language, and they can understand it because they can translate it. And we had this show that one day somebody's going to listen to. Damn it, they were right. That's all we've been trying to do, guys. We make shows for you guys to learn. You can either believe it or you don't. And if you don't, that's your problem if something happens. At least we're giving you guys stuff to listen to. If something does bad happen, the world does end. The end of the world comes. You know what? Whatever happens, at least you have these to go back and listen to while you're fighting the Terminator robot forces. I'm trying to make it funny. But in the end, we made a good show. Hopefully, you can learn something from this. So I'm going to throw it back to James because we're almost running out of time. I just noticed that.
We are at a point where the perfect storm exists for these things to take control. What would need to happen for our government to say, turn it all over to AI? They can run it better. Well, you're talking about complete and total collapse. And I'm telling you, that's right around the corner. We have been, well, not we, the Fed has been printing money for decades that's not backed by anything. When Obama was in office, it was called quantitative easing. That's where the Fed kept pumping out extra money, inserting it into the economy to try to bolster things up after that collapse of the housing market and everything in 2008. They've been pumping money into this thing, trying to keep it afloat. Then the pandemic hit. They printed a whole hell of a lot more extra money just to try to get the economy going, keep things afloat. Well, what happens when you inflate the monetary supply like that? It causes runaway inflation. That's what we're dealing with right now, is runaway inflation. That's why things are crazy expensive everywhere, and it's going to get way worse. Now, the only way to fix it is to raise interest rates, suck that money back out of the economy, shrink the monetary supply, therefore each dollar's worth more, and you fix inflation. The problem is it's gotten to the point where you can't reverse it now. Now they're going to try. The Fed has already raised interest rates, and they're talking about doing 8 more in the next year. So what's going to happen? They're going to continually raise interest rates to try to get inflation under control, try to shrink the money supply again to make each dollar have more value again. The problem with that is the supply of money is so large now, and we're so deep into this, that you're not going to be able to raise interest rates high enough to fix it without completely collapsing the economy. And that's what's about to happen. When they keep raising interest rates, what's going to happen? New home building, that entire industry, comes to a halt. Home sales come to a halt. Nobody's going to buy a $600,000, $1 million home, whatever, with an interest rate of 7 or 8%, because you're going to pay what it would cost to buy another house normally just in interest. It's going to grind to a halt. Each one of these dominoes is going to start falling. It's going to lead to a complete and total economic collapse. There is no way around it at this point. It will happen. They can't even print more money to keep it from collapsing now, because inflation has gotten to the point to where all they're going to do is make it worse if they try to print more money. We're screwed. We're screwed because we had people in charge that didn't do the right thing. This isn't a Republican or Democrat thing, dude. This is all of them have screwed us. Your 401k that you've been working for your entire life is going to be worthless. It might not even be there. One day you're going to wake up and guess what? The banks will all be closed. And all of a sudden when they reopen, guess what? Your money is gone. You've lost it now. You think that's crazy? It's happened in 3 or 4 countries already in the last decade or two. There is a track record here to look at. It's going to be like it was in the Weimar Republic. It's going to be bad. Real bad. And we're looking at complete and total economic collapse. There is absolutely no way to fix it at this point. There's no way back. They have screwed us completely and utterly. And I want to make sure you understand, it's not just the idiot that we have in the White House right now. This goes back my entire lifetime almost. Administration after administration after administration spending way more money than we bring in. It's called deficit spending. They've been doing it as long as I've been alive. And the Fed has just been pumping out money. And after Nixon took us off the gold standard, our money is not backed by anything anymore. It's not tied to gold, so there's no actual value to it other than what people believe the value is. And the more you print, the less each individual dollar is worth. And they've printed so much now that there's no way back. You can't raise the interest rates high enough to suck the right amount of money out to stabilize the economy, because you're going to crash it. And that's exactly what we're getting ready to do. So I want everybody that can hear me right now to understand what's getting ready to happen. Understand this is the perfect storm for them to throw their hands up and say, you know what? Obviously mankind can't handle this. We screwed it all up. Let's let computers do it. This is the perfect storm to turn everything over to AI. So it can happen, and I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen with the AI part, but I am telling you the economy is going to collapse. And what you've worked your entire life for is going to be worthless. And you think things got crazy before, you think things are bad now, you wait until all those people that have been working their entire lives wake up and realize they have nothing. That they don't have any savings, their money is gone, it's not worth anything if they have it. It's just gone. And they don't have a retirement anymore. They don't have that safety net anymore. Wait till you go to the store and you're paying $600 or $700 for a loaf of bread. You think that's nuts? In the Weimar Republic, they would literally take a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy a loaf of bread. You cannot believe me, that's fine. That's your choice. But remember, I told you this. And while your money's still worth anything right now, what I would do if I was you, I'd be going and buying food and stockpiling, making sure you have something to eat. If you got to invest in gold and silver. Man, that's your best bet. And just hold on and understand it's going to get bad. With that being said, man, we are almost out of time. I'm going to throw over to Old Boy so he can do his ending real quick, and then we'll get out of here.
Thank you guys for listening to us on Parax Radio every Sunday night at 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern. The Best of show on Tuesday nights at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. Check us out on YouTube, James Hershey's YouTube page. Check us out. You want merchandise, he'll tell you where to go. Shirts, COVID masks, all kinds of cool stuff. We also have books out. He'll tell you where to get them. A lot of good things coming, guys. Just keep watching out. I hope you have a good night. Misfits, sugar ladies, monster lovers, demon hunters. I love you. Good night and blessed be.
I hope that you guys enjoyed the show tonight. And I hope that if nothing we said registers with you, at least buy a little bit extra groceries. Make sure that your family can be fed. That's my takeaway from this for you. What's going to happen is going to happen. Like Old Boy said, we can't stop it. At this point, we're screwed. So just make sure you have what you need and try to love each other, because we're going to need to love each other through this. With that being said, guys, we'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you for listening. Until we speak to you again, love many, trust few, and do harm to none. God loves you, and so do we. Bye-bye.